Okay, and this is Gabor Sabo from the Maven TV show. With me currently is Dave Miller from Bugzilla. Hi Dave, how are you?
Hello, good.
Um, we're going to talk about whatever about Dave and his history in Perl and about Bugzilla and whatever other projects he has been involved. And if you like it, or if you like these videos and you would like to support the Pearl Maven side, then just go ahead and invite more and more people to watch the TV show or listen to the MP3s, the podcast, or just subscribe and read the articles. So hi Dave again. Um, I understand that it's pretty early for you, like what, 1
Yeah,
a.m., 2 a.m. So
yeah, something like that.
thank you, thank you very much for being awake for this interview at this such an hour.
Yeah, I
Um,
have weird hours because my day job is being a sysadmin for Mozilla,
hmm,
and so the office that I usually report to is in California, and because of the time zone difference from here to there, there's usually nobody there until noon my time, and so I tend to sleep in the morning, and then afternoon time is around with my family, and then after the kids go to bed and stuff, I'm back up doing work. So,
oh, so basically you're saying that because people are late to their work in California, you have to be extra late in getting started, or I don't know, after starting in the afternoon.
I don't know, they're late getting there, but it's 9 for them is noon for me. So,
Okay. So how's it working? Being a sysadmin in a remote job? That sounds, I don't know. So you're doing sysadmin for the desktop computers also, or for their servers?
mostly servers, yeah. Nowadays, I'm mostly taking care of the email and phone systems. So we have Zimra set up and use Asterisk for the phones. And,
Okay. So you work from home?
yep.
Um, so tell me about the Mozilla Foundation. I never understood that whole thing. And how big is that? How many people? What do they do?
Well, nowadays, well, let's see. Last I heard, I think we're somewhere around 800 or 900 employees now, I think.
Wow.
And I've been around for a while. I was employee number 14. So,
Oh,
um, that's a yeah. I had been gotten involved via Bugzilla.
hmm,
I had been working on a Mac software project, kind of in my spare time, but it was a paid thing part time. And I had taken it over from another developer that had been working on it, and his way of tracking bugs was mailing lists, and he would just keep the messages that had bug reports in them marked on red until he got to them to get them fixed. And
okay.
so when I took over that project, I wanted to have something a little better than that to keep track of the bug reports,
Mhm.
and shopping around for something for that, ran across Bugzilla, and it wasn't too long after Mozilla had open sourced it because they came out of Netscape, and it was similar to a bug tracker they had used internally, and so they ported the source code into Perl, thinking it was more popular than TCL, and because it used to be in TCL.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's funny. So you started to use Bugzilla first, and then later on became employed by Mozilla. Did I understand?
Yeah,
Oh,
I had been so yeah, just with the company I was working with for that Mac software, I had been using Bugzilla there, and had a couple ideas to make things a little better, and wrote a patch and submitted it, and
mhm.
you know. After a while, apparently I was doing enough stuff that the people that were running it at the time said, "Hey, you ought to get more involved here because you're submitting a lot of patches."
Okay.
And so then how I wound up with Mozilla after that was they had one sysadmin, and that's all they had. And it was still part of Netscape at the time, but Mozilla.org kind of operated on their own within Netscape. And so their one sysadmin was going on vacation for 3 weeks around Christmas of one year, and they wanted to not leave their services high and dry if anything went wrong with them while he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said, hey, you know this stuff pretty good. Why don't we'll give you root access to the server here, and then you can help out if anything happens while I'm gone. And so then I was taking care of that server for a couple of weeks while he was gone, and then the access never got revoked, and I kept helping with stuff. And so I was volunteer for a couple of years, just helping out now and then when they needed it stuff. And eventually, when it got to the point where they were getting ready to actually release Firefox 1.0 for the first time, I actually got hired in the day before they released Firefox.
Okay.
And that was that first day was probably the most hours I put in a single day, almost since I've been working. That's once or twice we've had things work more, but there was we only had we had one web server for www.mozilla.org,
Mm-hmm.
and Firefox 1.0 turned out to be pretty popular, and so the server got kind of swamped, and so we were like fighting fires, trying to tune Apache to make it faster,
Mm-hmm.
hunting down people to host web servers for us so that we could put mirrored copies of the site somewhere else and round robin the DNS and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And so we ended up Oregon State University's open source lab and Red Hat both hosted one web server each. And so we had those 3 web servers, and but by about the middle of the day, that first day, we got those 2 set up to add to the pool.
Wow. So just within a couple of hours, basically, you went from basically one server to mirrored setup.
Yeah.
Wow. That would yeah, that must have been really cool. Or tense, or I don't know what
Yeah,
war stories.
it was exciting.
So you've been around for quite a long time. I don't know what, like it's 10 years at least, or how many years this?
Yeah, it's going. It'll be 8 this coming November
Um,
as paid staff anyway. So
and is Mozilla really actually getting patches from the outside, or is it like 99% everything in house?
yeah, there's a lot from the outside coming in still. There's the big thing going on right now is the Firefox OS, um, which is the mobile phone operating system, and right now that's kind of targeted at the people coming out of the feature phone market. So it's kind of lower end phones right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm probably not the best person to
Okay, so we
talk
have a
about
little
that
problem
because
with the
the
voice.
IT department tend to be in our own little world apart from.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm probably not the best person to talk about that a whole lot because I'm the IT department is kind of off on our own little world apart from the developers a lot. So,
Okay.
so,
So you
yeah,
don't have a DevOps thing going on? That's sort of
well, yeah, the Firefox and the Firefox OS are client software that people run on their computers or their phones. And so we deal with all the server stuff, and we do have some DevOps, but it's dealing with the websites and we do have a lot of websites that support those things.
hmm.
The Firefox Marketplace and the add-on site. And,
So can you just give me like a ballpark of how many servers you have, or
we're
what?
a couple of thousand now, so
Wow. And they're doing what? They
uh,
are serving the website, or doing more
yeah,
others?
there's some serving the websites. Probably, I think the biggest single consumer we have is the sync services because you have the Firefox sync,
Yeah.
and, and so there's a lot of servers on the back end of that. The it's quite a substantial build farm for just building copies of Firefox. Builds a new copy every time somebody commits a patch for
Oh,
every platform.
okay, so you have an in-house build platform as well. That's
Yeah. So
like a big operation. Okay.
yeah, I know they have a few hundred servers for that, and they've got BuildBot running that now, I think, so they can they put in a build and it'll farm out the jobs to various servers, whatever happens to be free at the time to get something built in each platform and each of the variations of it that gets built.
That must be an interesting job to handle all these servers. So how many sysadmins do you have there?
I think we're right around 50 now.
50? Like 5 and
Yes,
0?
yes.
Wow. Spread out, or are they mostly in an office, or?
Yeah, they're all over the place. We got a couple in Paris, a couple in London. There's several in Portland, and San Francisco and Mountain View is where the main offices are. And we got several remote people. I'm in Michigan. We got a couple people in the Boston area. And I know there's 3 or 4 other people in Europe.
That's interesting. So how did you get involved in Perl, or is that was that with starting with the Bugzilla project?
Yeah, I learned Perl by hacking on Bugzilla. So
Whoa, oh, okay. And that was like, so you 8 years have been in Bugzilla, and a couple of years, 2, 3 years before that at that Mac
yeah,
company,
probably,
right?
yeah, probably has been 10 years on Bugzilla. About 12 years actually, because I was just looking at the history thing. It was 2001 when I was starting to get involved with that. So,
Hmm. And you, if I understand it, you're basically the project manager of Bugzilla, right?
all right, and that hasn't always haven't always been an active manager kind of thing. The um, just the sysadmin and work at Mozilla has kept me kind of busy on occasion,
Okay.
well, pretty frequently actually, and so it's probably been the last 4 or 5 years or so. We've had a couple assistant managers that have been more or less running the project for a while, and
Hmm.
it it probably would have been the case where I wasn't really having time to do anything, so I probably would have stepped out of the way and let them just handle it. But we had 2 guys doing things there, and one of them was pretty liberal and really good at getting things done, but took a lot of risks all the time. And the other guy was pretty conservative and was good at reining things in when things were going overboard. And the 2 of them disagreed with each other a lot, but they balanced nicely in keeping things running. And
Okay.
so I stayed in charge on paper to be able to break the tie when they didn't agree on something. And so I wasn't like actively managing things, but it was coming in and giving the final word on things when they needed a decision made, kind of stuff.
Okay.
And
Uh, what?
both of those 2 guys, it was Max Kenneth Alexander and Frederick Bucklin. They both of them have stepped down out of those roles within the last year.
Hmm.
And so I've been starting to get a little bit more involved in it again. And we've got a couple of people stepping up to help fill in the gap. But for now, I'm trying to, as much as I can, try to stay involved with it again. And that's mostly recent, within the last month or so.
Hmm.
I know Max stepped down probably 6 or 8 months ago now, I think, and Fred was just this last month.
Yeah, I saw it on the mailing list, both of them basically. I'm on the Bugzilla mailing list. I'm trying to listen in, but there's really little traffic there. So, is there
Yeah,
other place there?
yeah, we have an IRC channel on irc.mozilla.org, upon Bugzilla, and almost all the project discussion actually happens in there,
Okay.
and within the bugs themselves in Bugzilla.
So yeah, so basically you make decisions there on the IRC channel, right?
Yep.
Or the communication, and because for me, I've been using IRC for a long time, and then I quit. I don't know, about a year ago, and it freed quite a lot of time for me. But this
Hmm.
means that for example, projects like Bugzilla are totally invisible for me because I see an email once a couple of weeks, and then but I don't know what's going on, and I don't know how is it for other people who are not very involved in the project. They just want to sort of listen in and know what's going on.
Hmm.
Do you have some plans of trying to communicate this outside of the IRC channel?
Yeah, well, probably. I've been thinking about that recently too, because it does seem like there's not a whole lot of traffic on there, and there has been stuff getting discussed that probably should be on that list, just for keeping people involved and so forth. The IRC channel does get logged, and you can go on a website and look at the history for going back several years for everything that's gone on in that IRC channel.
Okay, so
Um, again, that's hard. That's kind of hard to wade through for somebody that doesn't know where to look,
yeah, that's right. But at least
or what to look
sorry,
for,
just
for
the voice is
that
going
matter.
back and forth.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you say it again?
So, yeah, I was saying it's kind of hard to dig through if you don't know where to look or what you're looking for.
Yeah. So yeah, we have some problem with the voice, it seems, but it was a we need a sysadmin just to see figure out what's going on. um, okay, so what's going on now? You became again, or starting to become again, more active in the management of Mozilla. I know that there was or was supposed to be a meeting, an IRC meeting, right?
Yep.
How did it go? What can you tell us about it?
Um, yeah, we got off to a slow start and felt like I was talking to myself for a little bit, but then it got going once we got other people to start talking, and um, there was I'm trying to remember what we talked about now. It was I know the main reason the meeting got called was because of Frederick stepping down and
Mhm.
trying to decide where we're going with the management end of things. And Byron Jones, better known as Glob on IRC, and Simon Green are the ones who have stepped up at this point to kind of help out with running the approval process for getting patches committed. Um, I should probably explain a little bit about that. The Bugzilla project has a two-step process for getting patches approved for getting committed, and the main level is just getting the patch reviewed by another active developer, just to have more than one set of eyes on it besides the person that developed the patch to catch anything the developer might have missed. And then there's also an approval stage, which is basically just somebody that is familiar with what the goals of the project are and what we're working on to give a final say on this is the right direction to be heading with it, and we want the patch or we don't kind of thing.
So it sounds like a very I don't know, well defined and very strict way of running an open source project or any project, right?
Yeah, it's been more strict in the past. I know the if you look around on message boards about people talking about Bugzilla like 5 or 10 years ago, a lot of the comments were about how messy the code was, and it was all spaghetti and everything, and which was very true. And uh, we had a large project at one time to kind of redo everything,
Hmm.
and it took about 5 years to do, but it did get done, and it got most of the spaghetti got removed. There's still a couple places that are a little bit ugly, but everything got redone, object oriented, using modules for the different functions within Bugzilla. And so if you look at the code now, it's mostly very readable, very well documented. Got a lot of Perl doc within the code to explain how the functions work in most places. And
Hmm. So where?
And the output is templatized using the Perl template toolkit.
Okay. How easy would it be to get involved in the project today?
Um, Harder than it should be. That's one of the other things we discussed at that meeting. Actually, was trying to come up with some ways to get some more people involved again. Um, One of the hardest problems that we have with getting new contributors is getting them to feel appreciated, I guess, because the review process we have for making sure the code is good before it goes in. There are several sites we know of that have fairly large Bugzilla installations that like to run directly out of our source control instead of waiting for the released versions. And so we try to avoid breaking things because we don't want to screw over those sites.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's part of the reason why the code review is as strict as it is, because we don't want it to go into the version control until we know it actually works, because people are going to end up using it if it's in the version control.
Why? What version
And
control do you use?
Bizarre.
Okay. So you can easily
And
use branches.
yeah, we could. And there's a few people have for some things, and we do branches for the stable releases, and so we can backport patches to them for the security updates and so forth. Um, Developers will do their own branches for features they're working on occasionally, and then we'll have the review process in order to merge the branch back in. And but what I was getting to is with the contributors, sometimes that review process is a little bit daunting for people that are just coming and submitting their first patch. They'll come up with something really cool that they've done, and they'll want to contribute it back, and they'll post it on Bugzilla, and then they get these comments from the reviewer that comes back and says, this and this probably should have been done this other way. It'd be a little better way to do it. And sometimes that's a little off-putting to them. They feel like their work wasn't really appreciated, and um, it's always a fine line trying to balance between trying to make people feel appreciated and trying to encourage them to continue working on it versus scaring people away, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I saw, for example, the Subversion project, and I tried to contribute there back long time ago, and I don't know. I had this feeling that they're very, very strict, and I wasn't up to the task to, I don't know, to create the quality that they were expecting back there.
Mm-hmm.
So, or at least that was my feeling that I got. I'm not sure if how much extra work that would need. So when now thinking about a developer for Bugzilla, that could be actually an issue that I don't know. You do things in a certain way, and then someone comes in and it's not perfect maybe, but how do you keep encouraging people even if they are not perfect at the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And that's my one suggestion, if anybody's interested in contributing, is that um, the review comments are not meant to belittle your code. They're intended to help improve it. And sometimes the people that are doing the review don't word it well. And so it sounds like they're criticizing it a lot, and they're really meaning to be helpful, and we are friendly people. It's just, sometimes people don't word the review in a way that sounds as positive as it should. And so
Okay.
we really do appreciate your help, and we'd like to help you make your code better. And if you're feeling like you want to contribute the code, but you're not sure you can finish it off yourself, say so. A lot of times somebody else will pick it up and run with what you put in so far, if it wasn't quite up to snuff when we got it. But a lot of times the comments will get made on the bug with the intention that we want the person who wrote the patch to be able to get all the credit for it. And so we give you encouragement for how to improve the patch first so that you
Mm-hmm.
can do the fixes yourself and still get that credit. And a lot of times we won't just go and take it and try to fix it up ourselves because we feel like we're stealing your thunder if we take the patch away from you.
That's an interesting point of view, actually. Yeah. Maybe that would be better, maybe to ask actually the developer about the contributor,
Yeah.
which way
Yeah.
he or she would prefer, whether should get the feedback and fixed by herself, or let it fixed by others and sort of get part of the, I don't know.
Hmm.
Anyway, so that's how one would involve in Bugzilla. But what are the plans for Bugzilla? So isn't it ready? Like
I
it
should
has
say too,
been.
there's a lot of should say too, there's a lot of other ways besides code that you can contribute to Bugzilla too. So we've if you go on our website, there's a contribute link there that has a big list of things. But the main ones are the documentation, and writing documentation is always a big thing too, because there's a lot of stuff in Bugzilla that's not documented yet, and we're always finding things that aren't. And um, writing documentation that people can actually understand tends to be hard for the people that are actually developing the code.
Mhm.
And if they get the documentation written at all, it'll actually be pretty technical often, and which isn't always the best thing for the people that are having to go read that documentation later and figure it out. And so people that are good copywriters that understand how to write code, to write English or other languages even. So it's been translated to a few other languages before, the documentation that we do have. Um, make it so it's humanly understandable.
So that's the user
People
documentation,
would
right?
appreciate that. Right, yeah.
Okay, so that's one of the big issues, documentation, you say. But
Mm.
I
And
am still.
testing also. If you ever look at our support mailing list, the support mailing list is actually pretty active. And there's a lot of people asking questions on there all the time. And we have like one guy on there right now that like answers everybody's questions. And it's really awesome of him to do that, but I feel sorry for him sometimes that he's like the only person answering any questions.
Okay. Yeah, and if he goes for a 3 week vacation, then no one will answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and
So yeah,
programmatically or
if you know your way around Bugzilla, the support list is a good place to offer your help if you want to help out other people using
and feature wise, how are there plans for Bugzilla to, I don't know, overtake the world again?
it.
It used to be the bug
Yeah.
tracking system, right? Or the open source bug tracking system. And today there are plenty of others that do various other things as well that people, I don't know, some people like, some people don't. But
Mhm.
so are there?
Yeah, there's one of the main complaints that we always hear about Bugzilla is the user interface, that it seems old-fashioned. And a lot of that gets the job done well because the process is simple as far as putting you put up a form, you edit the stuff in it, you submit it, and you get results from the form. It's basic web design thing, so it's for the you know the process of running the site is simple, but the forms aren't necessarily simple because they're starting to get too much clutter in them. And a lot, as Bugzilla has grown and gotten more features, there's more things on the form to put in, and so then it starts getting complicated, and people complain about it again. So
Yeah.
that's one of the big thrusts recently and coming up in the newer versions is the user interface, trying to both simplify it and use some more modern web technologies. Um, one of the main rules that we had for a long time was that we could not require JavaScript for anything in the site.
Okay.
That if the JavaScript could enhance it to make it work better in something, that was fine, but it had to still work if you had JavaScript disabled.
Hmm. That's a very strict thing again, right?
Yeah, and
And
that
very 90s.
yeah, that was limiting on the user interface a lot. And one of the main reasons that we had that rule actually was because um, two of the 3 or 4 major browser vendors were using Bugzilla as their bug tracking system, and people would file security bugs against those browsers and those bug trackers and include test cases, proof of concept for those exploits that
Okay.
would get attached to the bug report.
Okay.
And so if you go in and load that bug with those attachments on it, with your JavaScript enabled, you could crash your browser.
Okay. That's interesting.
And so a lot of the people that worked on the security bugs and fixing the security bugs in the browsers would run Bugzilla with JavaScript disabled for that reason,
Hmm.
so that they wouldn't crash going through reading the bug reports, and then they would download the exploit code and try to run it offline when they were ready for it to crash to see what would happen.
Okay.
And the back end has gotten better at dealing with that now. As far as the domain separation, Bugzilla can be configured to have the attachments in a different domain than the main site is now, which separates it so that the attachments can't get to anything that affects the main Bugzilla site, can't get your cookies, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And that won't stop your browser from crashing, but it'll stop malicious attachments from stealing other stuff out of your Bugzilla account.
Well, as long as the cross-site attacks are not possible in that specific browser, right?
Right. Yeah.
And if that's the security bug, then even then
Yeah.
this setup won't help.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the things we're starting to do just recently. The official decision on that was just made at that meeting that we had a couple weeks ago, or a week ago. I don't forget how long ago that was now. But that requirement to function without JavaScript isn't going to be as strict as it was anymore, because there are a lot of things that we can do using JavaScript to make the user experience a lot nicer.
Wouldn't it be possible to have a very simplified, non-JavaScript at all interface that can do limited things, maybe, but
Right,
that's what it does, and then have a full-blown everything JavaScript, and
right,
I don't know.
yeah, and that's the other the other thing that makes this more possible now is that we have a web service API for talking to Bugzilla now, and right now it's SOAP and JSON RPC are the 2 ways you can talk to it. And that's one of the major bugs or bug reports that we're trying to get patch committed for right now is adding a REST interface for that. There's been a REST interface as a separate server that would then turn around and talk to Bugzilla over the SOAP API and HTML scraping combination of kind of things.
Okay.
And so we're trying to get that integrated into the main code so it can run on the main Bugzilla site now. And between those, it makes a lot of things possible with external clients too. Like having a dedicated Bugzilla client on an Android phone, for example, or iPhone,
Yeah.
and or even writing another web interface for Bugzilla that just uses that API over the XML RPC or whatever on the back end to talk to the main site. And so it's possible to write other clients that don't use the main web interface to talk to Bugzilla and get all your data out of it now. And there's been people working on some of those already. There's a couple of pretty decent clients out there now.
Okay. So you could actually get. It would be interesting to have a couple of front-end developers now to write the front-end part of this. So clients, basically, right?
Right.
Which could be written in any language, for that matter.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So that can be.
As long as you can speak JSON, you can.
Yeah, I mean, most of us fluent in JSON, right? Like, and they wake you up, and then you can, oh, JSON. Good. So, what else shall we talk about? Do you have some message you would like to share with the listeners or viewers of the Perl Maven show about Bugzilla?
I'm not sure offhand.
Okay, that's okay. We talked quite a about quite a lot of things. So, what Then I would ask another question to finish this up. Why would someone want to contribute to Bugzilla?
Mainly if you're using it and you want it to be nicer.
Okay.
But
Is
there,
there
there. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so you think that it's mainly for people who are currently using Bugzilla. Is there any connection? I don't think I've ever seen a talk about Bugzilla in the Perl conferences, in YAPCs or Perl workshops. I don't know. I'm not following everything there, but do you know about any communication between the YAPC community or the CPAN community, those people developing the CPAN modules, and the developers of Bugzilla?
I'm not aware of a whole lot, actually. I know Max did. I'm pretty sure Max has done talks like at OSCON and so forth a few years ago. But we haven't really been out and about on the conference circuit much or anything. It's I don't know. It's expensive, and we don't really have anybody that's like paid to work on Bugzilla itself. There's a couple companies that have developers working on Bugzilla for them, but they're mainly upkeep on their internal instance and doing customizations related to how their company uses it, kind of thing. Because I know Red Hat has a developer, and Mozilla's got two of them, or might be three now. I think not sure how involved their third guy is, but
Okay. So there are a couple of people who get paid in other companies mostly, right, to work
yeah.
on Bugzilla or work little bit. I don't.
Yeah, we get contributions from them too, and it's like Byron and Simon are two of them. So they're involved with Bugzilla a lot, mostly for their own companies. Because Simon's with Red Hat and Byron is working for Mozilla. But,
Okay, so just let's wrap this up. What I understand is that basically the Bugzilla project has a couple of directions now that they need help is documentation, which is always a need for all the open source projects. But you're also talking about basically new front ends that people can build now, and lots of code cleanup. I mean, I personally like cleaning up other people's code. It feels much better than seeing that my code is broken. If someone else's code is broken, it's like a better feeling, or needs clean up. And I guess you're using Bugzilla for your own project management, right?
yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much for spending your, I don't know, early morning or late night with the viewers of the Perl Maven TV show.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thank you for listening or watching this episode of the Perl Maven TV show. And I hope that you enjoyed this. And then if you like it, then please share with all of your friends and enemies. And make sure they watch the video and subscribe to the Perl Maven mailing list. Thank you and goodbye.